Hello my good friends, I hope you're all doing just fine. I have to say that I am very excited for this video as I've watched the first episode of Digimon Beatbreak, as some of you have asked me to do. And I do have to say that I'm glad I have done so. I'm starting to get hooked. Not just because the anime is so well made, because seriously the anime is looking really fine, but also because I have seen so many concepts that I have seen in other Digimon media return. And it is exciting for me because I'm going to try and stretch it out to figure out where the Digimon Beatbreak universe is going to find itself within the Digimon multiverse. Remember that 11-hour long video? Well, Digimon Beatbreak might either be its own universe or it is a story that follows a timeline of an already established universe. But to know that, we will have to wait until the series comes to an end. So this video is not exactly going to be a sort of review of the first episode of Digimon Beatbreak, but rather a quote-unquote what did I learn about Digimon after having watched Digimon Beatbreak episode 1, okay? Or maybe something like quote-unquote what I noticed in said episode. Alright, let us get into it. So clearly the developers of Digimon Beatbreak have a profound understanding of Digimon as a whole, and I could immediately tell that they have been watching some of their previous material and worked on it. Take the encounter between Hitomi Shinomiya and Tomoro Tenma. It might seem very innocent, but I can tell you that there were so many, little quote-unquote Easter eggs, and clearly the developers either toyed with us, or maybe they just gave us a pair of coincidences. Let me explain. So, Hitomi Shinomiya is a minor character. She had some bad luck and was running late to school. She forgot to recharge her Saputama, an interesting device that is powered by artificial intelligence. You can use it for basically anything, to watch the news, do some business transactions, etc. More on the device in another video because it's probably going to become the new Digivice. Now, Hitomi's Saputama was discharged, and at some point the device slipped from her hands right into those of Tomoro, and then by magic, the device started working again, even much better than before, and it was also fully charged again. This suggests that Tomoro has certain powers hidden within himself. This story is very similar to two other characters within the Digimon multiverse. In fact, I suspect that the powers are going to be relatively similar to Taiga from the Digimon World Decode story. Its power is called Decode. It's an ability that allows one to decipher encrypted digital data with which it can draw out the maximum potential of a device or a Digimon. Meaning that if you take Taichi Yagami's War Greymon, for example, and put it next to Taiga's War Greymon, then Taiga would be able to give his War Greymon a certain power boost that cannot be found in another standard War Greymon. And I say this not to discredit Taichi and his War Greymon, as they both have their own ways of bringing out the maximum of each other. And here is the twist. Taiga isn't the only one with the Decode ability. Still in the Digimon Decode story, there is a young woman named Rina Shinomiya, who also has the same ability. And look at the names. Rina Shinomiya with the Decode ability, who is from the Digimon Decode story, and in Digimon Beatbreak you have Tomoro showing a similar power as her and Taiga, and he magically fixed a device from an owner that is called Hitomi Shinomiya. Interesting, right? The same family name as Rina Shinomiya. It's really in the details. Maybe I am taking it too far, that's also possible. Just wanted to point out in all cases because it might have slipped too many. And I'd say, not surprising, there is so much Digimon material out there. Again, I made a multiverse video of 11 hours and there is still more Digimon content coming out. Sometimes it's even difficult for me to follow. That's how big Digimon is. But taking into account the Decode ability, we might maybe predict how Gekkomon is going to get powered up at some point. It is likely going to be the same as how the Decode ability can power up a Digimon. And speaking of Gekkomon, it might be just me, but I feel like Gekkomon is sort of like a miniature version of the character Naruto. Again, I may be stretching it out once more, but then when we read its description, which says the following, and I quote, Gekkomon is always hungry and its top priority is satisfying its appetite. It sticks its nose into everything and charges ahead without thinking about consequences, unquote. Many anime characters are like that, particularly Naruto in his youth. But then when I quote Gekkomon constantly finishing its sentences with "you know," just like how Naruto constantly says "databayo," I was like, maybe there might have been some influences. There is another concept that I have found returning from other Digimon media and is now being used in the Digimon Beatbreak story, namely the E-pulse, which is the energy generated by human emotions and thoughts, which serves as the power source for the Sapotama. It isn't something new. The entire concept of pulse has already been used before, and for that I will have to bring Pulsemon to prove my point. Pulsemon being the entire mascot for Digimon Project 2021. It was an interesting project involving a series of live-action shorts featuring humans alongside 3D Digimon models. In that series, we were introduced to the Vital Bracelet Digivice. And the whole point was to combine fitness tracking with a digital monster raising experience, where the user's physical activity and heart rate would directly influence their Digimon's evolution and stats. In other words, it gamified fitness by requiring users to walk, battle, and complete training exercises to raise a Digimon from an egg to higher forms, essentially turning exercise into a vital part of nurturing a virtual pet. The project has been deemed as dead by many, however the idea still is a thing, clearly. And again, the mascot of that project was Pulsemon, and when we discussed it, have you seen how many Digivolution it has? All of that depending on how one is training. Emotions will be measured as far as they can be measured, and obviously also the pulse rate. In Digimon lore, through Digimon such as Pulsemon, it has been discovered that Digimon can improve their physical abilities and digivolve further thanks to the influence of the vital data of others. And this concept is little by little being reintroduced in Digimon Beatbreak through the E-pulse, that is the energy generated by human thoughts and emotions that serves as the power source for the Sapotama, which will then create and sustain Digimon and likely also make them evolve during battle. It sure is an interesting concept. We are more and more witnessing the many ways a Digimon can digivolve into its next stage. We have discussed plenty, but for reasons the developers always find new ways to be creative and still make it make more sense. So well done. And then, there is another concept I feel is returning, and one I can't wait to see being developed in the anime, and that is the cold heart illness. It is a condition where when a Digimon feeds off a human's E-pulse, then the human body starts to freeze and becomes covered in ice. If advanced to a critical point, the victim ends up losing consciousness and, worst case, they will die. The story is relatively similar to the 5 children in Digimon Cyber Sleuth who wandered in cyberspace Eden until they were confronted by this mysterious entity called Ether. We talked about the story in depth in the Digimon Multiverse video, so I'm not really going to get into the details here. However, this was the last thing the children saw before contracting the Eden Syndrome, which is a condition where the mental data of a human being has been consumed. The human won't necessarily be dead, but its body will not be animated, thus they will have to be put in a permanent comatose. And this is already looking quite similar to the cold heart case. I like it because it shows that despite having a multiverse that is so big, there are still similar illnesses and similar aspects which can be found throughout the vast Digimon franchise. So, for now, this is already what I could find and recognize in the first episode of Digimon Beatbreak. There are lots of themes that are coming back, which is making the series already quite unpredictable because it looks like a mixture of many Digimon stories into one, making the outcome obviously and surprisingly less predictable. But the anime is already looking very interesting to me and also quite dark. They are living in a dystopian society with only one light point, the upper echelon of society that is called Shangri-La. It looks like this giant egg where the most fortunate live in. The rest of society is almost looking like a slum aside of some areas. And Shangri-La, for your information, is a place that doesn't even exist in reality. It's a fictional place in Tibet, more specifically in the Kunlun Mountains. And interestingly, Kunlun is the name of the new host computer that governs a digital world I only recently discovered, namely Shambhala. Is it a coincidence? Will there also be a digital world in Digimon Beatbreak? Many questions that will get unveiled once I go through the next episode. And so I could continue my analysis before making a big video where I explore the digital world Shambhala. Looking forward to that. Please guys write down in the comment section what you learned from Digimon Beatbreak's first episode. Again, I'm not really going to do reviews here, not because I don't want it, but because there are so many reviews already. Me, I try to look at another picture, namely how all of this is fitting within the entirety of the Digimon multiverse. What similarities are there between this story and the other stories? What are those similarities? How would they be connecting? That's what I'm looking for. Please write down your opinion in the comment section and make sure to subscribe because Digimon is a journey and I'm going to really make of it a big journey for you.